There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am, at long last, with another page 112 tag. I haven't done one of these in almost a year. 8 months or 10 months, I'm not sure. Anyway, I created this tag a couple of years ago based on a French literary prize. And in that literary prize, the judges only get page 112 of the novel they are judging. They don't get the title, they don't get the author's name, they don't get the entire manuscript. They only get page 112. And from their appraisal of page 112 only, they come up with a short list for the prize. So I adapted it for a BookTube tag, and what I typically do, this has a few different variations on BookTube. But the way that I do it is that I read you page 112 from 3 novels. I don't tell you up front what they're from. I give you my reaction, and then I rank the 3 novels, the 3 page 112s, in terms of which ones I'm most interested in reading and which ones I'm least interested in reading, and then I reveal the books. The thinking behind the page 112 approach, and this is something that I use in my book shopping every time since I discovered the concept, is that authors and publishers and editors fuss and fuss and fuss over the first chapter, the first page, the first half of the book, the first third of the book, and then everybody slacks off. I don't know how many times I've started reading a novel and it started out great, and then suddenly by the middle it just went to shit. It just fell to pieces, and the writing was not nearly as good as it had been in chapter 1. The idea behind this is, if you really want to know, and of course the page 112 is pretty random, but if you really want to know how good a book is, go to the inside and sample a page there to get a true sense of its worthiness. All right, without further ado, let's begin. Book number 1. In this book, page 112 is blank, and there's not very much text on the following page, so I'm going to share page 114. What the hell is up with you, Sal? Her foot tickled his, but the eyes were not friendly. Smoke the wrong shit? I'd have more fun with a fish tonight. I'm sorry, he said, supremely indifferent. Why did he even like Margaret, apart from the obvious things? Margaret only liked him because he was tall, exotic, and, above all, older. At 25, he was a man to her pretty teenage doll. I'm still thinking about my father. That put a stop to Margaret 9 times out of 10 these days. It's hard to argue with a man whose father died less than 2 months ago, right in the middle of end-of-term exams. Oh, for Christ's sake, then you should have gone to his funeral. I couldn't, he said, irritated by the effort of having to lie. I told you. Yeah, well, you haven't got exams now, so you could still go, if you don't want to stay around here and be a full-time drag. Margaret disengaged her legs and looked around the sweaty room. She had the most amazing eyes. They could pierce the back of a man's head and see through to the more interesting things beyond him. Something out there is more promising than me, he thought. Go find it, why don't you? As if in answer, Margaret pinched Salim's arm with brittle fingers. I'm getting a proper drink, she said pointedly, setting her pink punch down on the windowsill. This sweet shit is giving me a headache. Salim watched the crowd swallow her like a tiger disappearing into the tall grass. This was Margaret's kind of room. The dense smoke, the long-legged crowd, the music he'd never heard of, sliding out of the turntable in the corner. This is my end, my only friend, the man sang, of our elaborate plans, of everything that stands. It had been the end of Abu Hassan 2 weeks before Christmas. A stroke had taken him right in the chair where he used to sit and crack nuts all day. 1 minute the hand was at his mouth, and the next it lay by his side, flaccid and empty. Okay, well, I don't like that at all. That's not very good writing. Oh, it kind of reads like YA, and there's quite a few things that I don't like. It's pretty heavy on its adjectives and adverbs, which is always often a turnoff for me. I find the dialogue inane, and the characters... I can't expect characters necessarily to engage me based on one page of a novel, but these characters sound pretty uninteresting. There's just a lot of cliched turns of phrases, 9 times out of 10. Even the simile is kind of lame, like a tiger disappearing into the tall grass. It's just such a... it's just coming from such a different environment than this house party is, that it just is jarring to me. Music sliding out of the turntable? No, music doesn't slide out of any machine, not even an iPod. Yeah, this is awful, so no. Terrible. That's going to be an on-haul. Let's hope for better things from book number 2, shall we? I have just scanned this, and just a little bit of a trigger warning. It looks like it appears to be a homophobic quarrel with a little bit of violence, but I don't see that it's... Oh, I think it might be between a father and son, and it ends on quite a violent note. So, if you don't want to listen to that, you can skip ahead. Biscuits. Biscuits is the name of the character. Oh dear. It's not a pet dog. It's not a pet. Biscuits reached up to hang his coat on the hook, and the front door swung open. Dean strode in, clenched his right hand around the neck of Biscuit's top, and twisted it tight to his throat. "What? What?" said Biscuits, his eyes blazing as his father drove him against the side of the staircase. "What have I fucking done, Dad?" he yelled. Dean stared into him. Biscuits could find no connection. He began to whimper. "You little fucking faggot," whispered Dean through the grit of his teeth. "What the fuck do you look like? How dare you walk around here dressed like that, after all the fucking money I've spent on you? You trying to embarrass me, boy? Eh? And who was that old fucking faggot in that Poncy car, hey? Who? "He's just an old English bloke. Drinks in the pub in Little Emlyn. Helping us, he is. Just helping Jethro to organize this rave next weekend." "Rave? Fucking rave?" His voice grew louder. "I didn't raise you to be one of those dancing fucking faggots on ecstasy. You trying to make me a fucking laughingstock in front of my friends, boy?" Dean twisted the fabric tighter. Biscuits began to choke. Biscuits shoved his father, and Dean fell backwards, pulling Biscuits down onto the floor with him. Dean snarled and threw his head at his son's face. Biscuits' nose cracked. Dean pulled him up and dragged him through to the kitchen, his hands around his son's neck. Blood spattered onto the walls and carpet as Biscuits tried to free himself. Dean slammed the hallway door shut. "Shut up, you little faggot! Stop fucking screaming!" He slapped Biscuits around the face 2, 3 times. "Fucking shut up!" He grabbed him by the throat. "Stop!" A switch went off in Biscuits' head. His screaming stopped. Biscuits glanced down. His father's ashtray lay on the draining board next to him. His hand smashed down on it like a robotic claw, and without a break in movement, he drove it into the side of his father's head. Oh my, well that's very dramatic and disturbing, hey? Well, I like that quite a lot better than the first one, which was just awful. This one is okay. I can't think of anything to criticize. It's just a very dramatic scene, and there's so much action and so much shouting that it's really hard to gauge the quality of the writing. That's my first reaction. Why is this poor man called Biscuits? Oh my god. I'd be gay too. Oh, I am gay, but like Biscuits. Oh no. We don't know if he's gay, but his father is certainly spewing a lot of homophobia in his verbal barrage. I would say this one kind of is so-so. I'm interested to find out more of what's happened, what has happened before, and what's going to happen. On the basis of this one page, I don't have a strong sense of whether I would end up liking the writing that much or not. The story sounds dramatic. I'm interested, but I'm not wowed. Book number 2. And book number 3. This is it, love. I dinna go any further. Still, she just stares. You okay? You'll have to get off here, I'm afraid. She wants to go to the garage with me, though. She must live round here. Rather than see her walk up there on her own at this time of night, I shrug and head back to base. When I next check the mirror, having parked and cut the engine, she's hiked up her skirt and has her legs open. I just gawp at her. I'm no longer equipped to deal with things like this, but I just can't stop staring at the unfamiliar minge in front of me. Do you want some? She whispers. Jesus Christ. As I frantically check the windows, I half expect Brutal to suddenly swoop towards us. There's only a few guys just finished their shift at the far side of the garage. Switching all the lights off, I get out my little box. Look, love, tough for the offer, but you better go. The legs spread a little wider. Go on, you know you want to. She must be a junkie or something. Even if my cock wasn't frazzled with Prozac, I wouldn't touch that. I wish she'd cover up her bits and get off my bus, but I'm scared to touch her. A tiny crumb of my DNA on her skirt and I'd be buggered. Retrieving the cash box, I open the door and get out. No offense, love. I'm a married man. I just want home to my Coco. I'm smiling, trying to keep it friendly, but she lets out a wail and marches off the bus, towards the group of drivers. By the time she realizes the exit's in the other direction, they've spotted her. Once they start laughing and shouting, she can't get out of there quick enough. Okay, well that's, again, boy, page 112 in tonight's selection has got quite a lot of drama. It would appear that this is narrated, this section at least, is narrated by a bus driver, and he has a little trouble disembarking a passenger. Who or what is Brutal? Is Brutal a dog? Yeah, I'm intrigued. The writing has a certain energy to it. I'm interested in the what looks like Gaelic. I didn't go any further. The man sounds older, and I'm not sure how long I would want to be in his head. He sounds kind of like an old poop in terms of his ways of describing this woman. He behaves with a minimum of honor, but I'm not sure that I like the things he thinks about her. Yeah, I'm intrigued, but I'm not really sure how interested yet. But I would choose that one first. Book number 3 is my first choice, but I'm lukewarm. Book number 2 is my second choice, but only mildly interesting. And book number 3 is going in the trash or going out of my house. It was awful. So, how do my choices match up with yours? I'll be interested in your comments in the comment section below. Alright, so now let's find out about the books. Book number 1 is called Ishmael's Oranges by Claire Hajjaj. And this is a novel set in 1948 in the Middle East. Then it goes into the swinging 60s in London, and it's a romance between, I'm guessing, a Palestinian and an Israeli Jew. And that's possibly who we met. Claire Hajjaj, it's her debut novel. She was an academic and BBC journalist. She has spent her life building bridges between the Palestinian and Jewish peoples. This was published in 2014. Yeah, that's great, and I'm sure this book would work for many people, but based on that one page, I'm very comfortable saying that I will never try it. That was book number 1. Book number 2 is a recent acquisition. This is a Welsh novel by Richard Williams, Mostyn Thomas and the Big Rave. And this is quite new. 2018, I found out about it on Eric's channel, one of his book hauls. And yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it. The main character, Mostyn, is a farmer in Pembrokeshire on the brink of bankruptcy, and he starts holding raves on his farm to save the farm, and it goes from there. I am certainly no less interested to try it than I was, but I'm not sure ultimately how I will feel. Richard Williams was born on a dairy farm in Pembrokeshire, and this is also his debut novel. And book number 3 is a Scottish novel, Born Free by Laura Hurd, published in 1999. And this is also a debut novel. So today's tag was 3 debut novels. This was nominated for the Orange Prize back in the day, and she lives in West Edinburgh. It's a story of a Scottish family, blackly comic and painful. And I was certainly intrigued. I know nothing else about Laura Hurd than that. Let's see if Google has any updated information. She was born in 1966, and she has now written 4 books. Looks like one might be a memoir and 2 short story collections, plus this novel. All right. Well, none of those stood out as being books that I am going to put everything down to read immediately, but the final 2 were interesting enough that I will definitely give them a try. So that's the beauty of a page 112 test, which I do every time I want to buy a book. And I'm in a bookstore, I will sit down with the books that I'm interested in, read page 112, and then whittle it down from there based on that criteria. So this is an open tag. If anybody wants to try it, please do so. You can do it the way that I've done it. Some people just don't keep the mystery element, and that's fine. They show the books and then read from the page 112. Some don't even read the page on their video. They just give their reaction to it. You can do whatever you want with this tag, but please do it. And in terms of booktubers, newer booktubers that have come online since the last time I did this tag, I'm going to tag 1 or 2 of those. So Brian of Bookish, I think you might have fun with this tag, so I'm specifically singling you out. And Sharon of Hooked on Books, I think you might have a field day with this one too. But anybody, please do it. Thanks for watching.